Hi everyone, how are you doing today? Today is Monday. We are continuing our Loving Neverland reaction series. Yesterday we stopped at right at the beginning of the story of the Sony conflict. Today, hopefully, we are going to learn how did it start. I think we pretty much know how it ended. But I'm sure there are details that we don't know, that no one told us, definitely not the media. So let's see, what can we learn today in order to find out the truth behind the headlines. So, are you ready? Because I am.
Started a revolution and protested outside of Sony Music's New York headquarters on an open bus wearing a bulletproof jacket while being aware of the dreadful consequences that he might get killed for raising his voice. But that did not stop him.
So, wow, okay, so he was wearing a bulletproof vest, knowing they're going to be after him, saying, I know they are dangerous. And people think that, Michael did whatever he could to provoke really big forces and really scary people, and he didn't make a plan, to escape. For people to think that Michael would be, forgive my language, that dumb to provoke all those people and then not plan to escape, that tells me you don't really understand who this man is. Uh, you know, I, I never really tried to convince anyone in my belief. But I will just say, you need to start thinking logically, and you need to start getting to understand who Michael is, and the sources he had, and the mindset he had, and just start thinking logically, okay? Because to me, anyway, it makes no sense that he knew people were after him, that he made so many powerful people angry, and he didn't think that he should get away at some point. That he could, that they're going to be chasing him, trying to get rid of him, and not make a plan to escape. Now, why did he do it is a whole different story. Did he do it to come back at some point and throw all those people in prison? Did he do it just because he wanted to live in peace and quiet for the rest of his life? What is the master plan? What is like the ultimate goal of this? I am hoping we will find out everything in October 3rd this year. Okay? But until then, let's learn what happened, how it started, at least with Sony. We know about the others, right? We've learned it before about world leaders, police. Michael had something to say about everything that is going wrong in this world. So now he is against Sony. So let's see what happened. So the fans are yelling Sony sucks, and it reminds me of that time, I think it was in MJ's 45th birthday, when it sounds like the same fans. I'm probably wrong, but it sounded like, when they were saying Bashir sucks, like there are so many people who just, yeah, they suck because they're always trying to ruin something. But yeah, when Michael does something, when he's protesting against something or someone, we are there. The fans are there. Still today, 16 years later, after he was, pronounced dead, we're still here protesting and being mad about what he went through. Let's see how it's gonna end.
Sony, being being the artist that I am at Sony, I've generated several $billion for Sony, several billion.
Exactly. So Michael saying, being the artist that I am, they are making billions and billions of dollars, from my work. And it's still not enough for them, They're still greedy. They still want that catalog, and they will do whatever they can to get that from him. If it includes ruining his life, his name, so be it, That's their mindset of the dark side, the evil side. But you see what greed does to people? Money is the root of all evil. Michael said that, right?
And they really thought that my mind is always on music and dancing, and it usually is, but...
Or in other words, they thought he was just another dumb black artist that they can twist and fool and steal from. And Michael showed them that he is not. And like I said, he provoked them. So they fought back, but they fight with evil. Michael fight with love. And let's see who wins at the end.
They never thought that this performer, myself, would outthink them.
This performer, interesting. He's not saying, this businessman, this, he's doing so much more than just perform. And yet they thought of him as just as a performer, someone they can do to him what they did to Little Richard and James Brown and George Michael and Mariah Carey, because I saw them on a sign. And I do remember George Michael suing them. I don't know what is the story with Mariah Carey. I do know that she was married to Mottola, and he was a very scary man that, she told herself that he basically locked her inside the house, that she always had to report to him where she is. And then after the divorce, she was still very much afraid of him. And Michael's gonna talk about it here. I hope they're gonna show it.
We can't let them get away with what they're trying to do, because now I'm a free agent. I just owe Sony one more album. It's just a box set, really, with 2 new songs, which I've written ages ago. Because every album that I record, I write, like, literally, I'm telling you the truth, I write at least 120 songs every album I do. So I can do the box set, just give them any 2 songs. So I'm leaving Sony a free agent, owning half of Sony.
Yeah, that's definitely an amazing thing. I'm leaving them, owning half of them. You know what that reminds me? That song, Your Butt Is Mine. That's exactly what he says. Yeah, he owns half of, that. I'm not gonna say the word again. But yeah, he is unbelievable. He protests with a style, Yeah.
So I own half of Sony's publishing, and I'm leaving them, and they're very angry at me because of it. But I just...
Well, he basically says, I own half of the Sony publishing, and now they're after me. That's what I think he wanted to say, but I don't know. Maybe he changed his mind the last minute. Yeah, they won that catalog. His half.
I just did good business, So the way they get revenge is to try and destroy my album. The tradition of great performers, from Sammy Davis Jr., James Brown.
See, what he said is the tradition of great performers, from Sammy Davis Jr. to James Brown to Jackie Wilson to Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly. The story is usually the same. So what he's about to tell us, and I'm going to play it, is that they were all taken advantage of. And again, they thought Michael was the same. They will just continue the tradition of stealing money from artists. So when Michael came, and not only they couldn't steal anything from him, because he is also good at the business part, not just the show part. Remember, this is show business. He is good at the show, but he is also good at the business. Not a lot of the performers are also good at the business, understanding their business. That's why they have agents, managers, whatever, and they do the business part, and a lot of them are stealing from them as well. I guess they couldn't do it with Michael because he was always, supervising, and he knew exactly what was going on. He understood that he needs to be a perfectionist on stage, in that show part, and he needed to be a perfectionist when it came to the business part. He needed to understand what he is getting into. Okay, and they didn't expect that. They expected him to be, again, like Sammy Davis Jr., James Brown, and all of them, that they will just steal from him traditionally like they did to all of them. But Michael broke the tradition, and they don't like it.
To Jackie Wilson, to Fred Astaire, Gene Kelly. The story is usually the same, though. These guys work really hard at their craft, but the story ends the same. They usually are broken, torn, and usually just sad. And the story is very sad in the end because the companies take advantage of them. And Tommy Mottola is a devil.
Oh, now everyone thinks that this is the sentence that killed him. But anyway, when he said they all ended up being sad, and the story is very, very sad. And you know what? I'm, as a believer, I'm always thinking about the hoax. I think the story that the people are, I think part of the hoax, okay, I'm going to try and explain this. Everything that has happened to MJ in the last, let's say, 2-3 years before he was pronounced dead, he wanted people to believe that he is also were affected by what he went through, and he was so sad, and he was broken, and he was this, and he was that, and that's what eventually killed him. I mean, I believe this was part of the story of the hoax. I'm not saying that what he went through didn't affect him, but I think he is much stronger than he looked. He pretended to be even more broken and more sad than what he really was, because at the end of the day, he is a fighter, and he knew that the fight is long, and it's going to take a long time, many, many years, to fight all those big forces, the dark evil force, So, he took pictures of the paparazzi when he's in this wheelchair, and people said, I think, security, one of his security, I don't remember who that was, but he said that, he took him on a wheelchair for the paparazzi, and then he got him inside the car, and Michael just started laughing. Yeah, we got them, we got this. And then, towards the end in 2009, when he was losing weight, and I think that was also part of the hoax. He had to look like he was dying. Okay? And then, don't forget, in January of 2009, there was this headline on the cover of a magazine. I forgot the name of the magazine, but it said, Michael Jackson has 6 months to live. Michael is dying. And then what do you know? Magically, 6 months later, on June 25th, he's dead. He's gone. So, a lot of us are sure that Michael was the one who planted that headline. Maybe to give us a heads up, or, that we're gonna notice it later, after he was pronounced dead. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is everything was planned. He had a plan. I'm pretty sure he didn't predict the trial. But he always had a plan to fight all those evil people and companies and whatever, and then at some point he knew he had to go. Now again, what was the purpose of leaving? Is he coming back? Is he just, took a long vacation? Is he going to expose people and come back? I don't know. Like I said, we will find out in October, I hope. Anyway, let's continue and see what happened with Sony.
I'm not supposed to say what I'm going to say right now, but I have to let you in on a secret. Science! Please don't videotape what I'm going to say, okay? Turn that off, please.
So for a second there, he's like, okay, maybe this shouldn't come out, because he knows he's being watched. But then, he changes his mind. So he's like, you know what? I don't care anymore. Whatever happens, happens. And that's why that guy called him a gangster. Yeah. So I know what he's going to tell. I'm sure you guys know what he's going to tell. You probably watched it a few times like I did. But still, let's listen to that story.
Science! Please don't videotape what I'm going to say, okay? Turn that off, please. You know what? I don't mind. Tape it. Mariah Carey, after divorcing Tony, came to me crying. She said to me that this is an evil man. And Michael, this man follows me, she said. He taps her phones. And he's very, very evil.
So she warned him. She's not only telling him about, what he's doing to her. She came to him telling him what he's doing to him, or what he's planning on doing to him. I'm sure she knows. I'm sure she heard conversations of Mottola talking about Michael and how he's going to revenge him, or how he's going to get the catalog away from him. So there's a reason why she came to him. So that makes me ask, after her telling him that he is in danger, does she also know, or at least suspect, that Michael escaped? I do wonder if she knows. If I'll have to guess, I'm gonna say yes. I do hope that the story he told didn't get her in trouble. She did been through a lot since then. And people think that she's crazy, there's so much that I want to say, but I think it's better I'll keep those kind of thoughts to myself. But let's continue and see what Michael has to say.
He doesn't trust him. And he is a horrible human being. And we have to continue our drive until he's terminated.
Oh, okay. So now he is saying, so we have to continue our drive until he's terminated. Who's we? He, Mariah, or he and the fans? Or when he said we, who did he talk about? Did he quoted Mariah when he said, we gotta work together to destroy Mottola? She was obviously motivated to do that. She knew who he really is, probably better than Michael. I mean, she lived with him. She was his wife. So I do wonder when he said, so we have to continue our drive, did he meant that Mariah said it, like you and I, or all of us together? So yeah, so is Mariah Carey part of this? Does she know? I need to look at how she talked about MJ after he was pronounced dead. Okay, this is getting very interesting. Listen, you gotta understand, as a believer, I'm looking at everything with a believer's eyes, you know? Because I have no doubt MJ is alive, so I'm thinking about how he used what he did in the past to escape. Does that make sense? Okay, let's move on.
We can't allow him to do this to great artistry. We just can't.
He tried to warn about some.
Oh, for some reason they didn't play that, but then he said, and I promise you the best is yet to come. This is something that as believers are always leaning on. The best is yet to come, and you ain't seen nothing yet. This is something that we take very seriously because we think that this is exactly what Michael is planning. The best is coming, probably in October, but I don't know. And we haven't seen anything, meaning he's going to create something he never created before. He's going to top himself. Because let's face it, the only competition he has is himself when it comes to creating art. And so yeah, it is interesting to me that it didn't show that in here. But those two sentences are very important to us believers. Anyway, let's see what's going on with Sony and MJ.
Sony's intentions regarding the catalog. Imagine a black man owning 50% of the world's biggest publishing catalog, and whilst sitting on the board of directors, telling you that the company is controlled by racists, and then you get an idea as to why he needed to be killed.
Michael.
So basically, what they're saying is, we're not going to accept a black man being part of the decision makers. A black man will not tell us what to do. That's not where he's supposed to be. And yeah, that is their mindset. And this is why they were trying to get rid of him. It is a very, very big part of what happened to him. He was a black man with a lot of power, and they didn't like it. It didn't seem natural to them, that a black man is the boss. So yeah. So now LaToya Jackson is being interviewed, and let's see what she has to say.
Michael told me that they were going to murder him. He was afraid. He was afraid for his life. The people that were involved in his life, the people that were controlling him.
He asked me to come up.
See? He knew. So if Michael knew, do you really think he didn't have a plan? Of course he did.
Upstairs, and he grabbed me and started crying and said, please don't leave me. They're trying to kill me. And so the next day after we left court, I said, I need to take you to a hospital. He said, no, they'll kill me.
He told me several times that he felt that people wanted him gone, wanted him dead. He would always say that. Just some of the mean, evil, vicious people didn't want him around for some reason.
Exactly. So he told everyone he knew, listen, I am in danger. He knew exactly what was going to happen. So, but the thing is that people told it as if it's coming from a weak place. Like, oh, they're trying to kill me, and he's crying and everything. Sure, he was afraid for his life, but he is also a fighter. It didn't come from a weak, terrified place. That's what I think anyway. It's my theory, my opinion. But that's how they need to tell it, because people need to think that Michael got weaker and weaker, and then they killed him. And I don't think that was the story, but that's what the world, or at least the people who thought they got rid of him needs to believe. Okay, and again, it's just my opinion.
They're greedy. That's what it is.
He felt that someone was going to try and kill him to get a hold of his catalog and his estate.
So he actually gave you names?
He did, and I would like not to say them, but he expressed to me his concern over his life.
In my Sony catalog is all the Beatles music, all of, Little Richard's music. I own Sly and the Family Stone. I own Elvis, so many Elvis songs, and it's a huge catalog. It's very valuable. It's worth a lot of money, and there is a big fight going on right now as we speak about that. Now, I can't say whether or not. I can't comment on it. There's a lot of conspiracy. I'll say there's a lot of conspiracy going on as we speak.
Michael was very...
See, he told us, he told the world, there is a conspiracy. They want my catalog. He warned us. So, it wasn't a secret. Not on MJ's side anyway. Everybody was acting like they were either, they didn't have a problem with it, that they're not enemies, whatever, that it's all in MJ's head, that he is just being paranoid. But he knew exactly what was going on. He was never paranoid. He was right. He was absolutely right. And knowing what's going on, he made a plan and he escaped. So yeah. Okay, let's see what else they have to say.
Suspicious of many people who have crossed his path. He felt people were after his catalog. He felt the media wanted to make a fortune on watching him be destroyed and carted off the...
I don't like that they said, he felt people were after him. He felt that, he didn't feel. He knew. Okay? He knew exactly what's happening. So, like, for people to act like he was paranoid, that he was just delusional, whatever, I don't like that.
Prison. He was suspicious of many people who have crossed his path. I don't want to give a bunch of names.
What is your greatest lesson?
Not to trust everybody. Not to trust everybody in the industry. There's a lot of sharks. And record companies steal, they cheat, have to audit them. And it's time for artists to take a stand against them. Because they totally take advantage of them.
Where he says it's time for the artist to take a stand against them, he's speaking about himself, He's the one who's taking the stand against them. And he's fighting them, I believe, even, when he is not here, physically, or, well, we can't see him, but he's here. And he's still fighting them, and let's see how that story ends. I'm curious to see who's gonna win at the end, the dark side or our Michael. With us, of course, we are fighting with him.
Totally, they forget that it's the artists who make the company, not the company who make the artists. Without the talent, the company would be nothing but just hardware. Just
This is a 22-page document of all the acts he owned in alphabetical order.
Mm-hmm.
And what do the headlines say? Michael owned 50% of Sony.
It's crazy how cruel corporations can be. You gotta understand, Mike was one of the most powerful men in the music business. And then he owned 50% of Sony ATV. The Beatles catalog. Beatles just one of many catalogs that he owns 50% of. They were mad at him due to the business that he did. Yeah. Let's be real. I'm gonna say it out there straight for everybody listening. My uncle didn't die. He was murdered. I feel the same thing about Prince. We're losing.
You know what I'm thinking? That there are some people in his family, Jacksons, who don't know the complete truth. They think Michael is actually gone. I think the only people who knew the truth were people who were really, really close to him. He couldn't take a risk for someone to say something. So maybe not all of them know, or I don't know. I mean, it's just my theory, of course. It doesn't mean anything, because some Jacksons, when they say that Michael is gone, that he's dead, they look like they really mean it. Now, they either really believe that he's gone, or they are very good actors. You know, they understand that they need to protect their uncle, cousin, whatever, but I'm pretty sure the siblings know, their mother definitely know. But anyway, it's just my reaction to that was Siggy Jackson, by the way, MJ's nephew. When he said Michael was murdered, he wants to tell the world, or at least to MJ's enemies, like, you succeeded. You know, you completed your task. You wanted to get rid of him, you did. But we know that's not true, right? Well, I do anyway. I don't know how many believers are listening to my podcast, but I know that Michael is still here, and I'm pretty sure he's going to win. Okay, let's listen to just a little bit more.
And a lot of stars, because you have to remember, these are basically insurance policies. When he dies, whatever was owned by the company reverts back. We're not talking about 100,000.
Exactly. So the reason they wanted to get rid of him, whether put him behind bars or kill him, is because they would get the catalog back. Right? It's all about that catalog. It's all about that money. And they just showed a picture of Prince, the singer, and it was written slave on his cheek. And we all know how Prince ended up. So anyone who fights this big monster in the music industry ended up dead. Michael knows that, and he made a plan. He is a lot smarter than we think, a lot smarter than we know. So, you know, all we gotta do is wait and see what's gonna happen. Okay, let's listen to a little bit more.
$1,000. We're not talking about $1 million, and everybody in this room knows $1 million. I don't care if you're a normal person, ain't getting you shit. After taxes, you still gotta live the same. You still gotta stack your money. But when my uncle died, we're talking about billions of dollars. Can you imagine if Prince, when he died, sold little red Corvette to Chevy? Woo. Let's just you think about it. Yeah. They say Prince died broke. How do you die broke with $1 billion catalog? If he would have sold 3 songs, he'd have had a couple $100 million sitting in his pocket to play with. Yeah. All he had to do is, here, take these 3. I got the catalog of the rest. Right.
Jackson was...
You see, Prince's fate was exactly like the speech that Michael gave. He worked so hard his whole life, and he ended up broke. Right? Just like Michael said. And Michael wasn't going to let that happening to him as well. So he let people think that they won. I guess he has to, for the big plan. People need to believe that he is truly gone, so that he can come back bigger and stronger. Okay, let's move on.
Was not only right about Sony, he even predicted the aftermath of his death and the eventual sale of his catalog. He knew the consequences, yet he did not hold himself back from putting forth the truth. There are many evil forces that work together to bring down black artists and use them for their own benefit. David Geffen is considered to be one of the most powerful men in history, with his grip rooted in Hollywood. People close to Jackson considered Geffen behind all the slander and array of disingenuous rumors.
Okay, so this is the story that I didn't know about, and I've learned about it for the first time when I watched this documentary for the first time, like 5 years ago. And in this case, in this David Geffen story, it's not just that he wanted to get rid of a black artist. There was something on a personal level. And we're gonna listen to what happened, and it looks like we're going to finish the second part today, and I'm really happy about that. So let's listen to what happened between MJ and Michael, and let's see if we're gonna end it today.
It was 1992 when Jackson refused to serve him any favors. In a pool party, Geffen made a move on him and tried to kiss him, to which Michael retaliated and pushed him away, making it clear that he wasn't gay.
You see? So the story I heard is that for many, many years, Geffen used to harass women. And then he came out of the closet and he started harassing men. And he thought Michael would just, he would just not do anything about it or be afraid of his power. And no, Michael rejected him because obviously he's not gay. He's not interested in those kinds of things. And so, when he was trying to get rid of Michael, it wasn't just because of money or, the music industry. It was a personal thing. Well, that's a story I didn't know. Did you know about it? Let me know in the comments. So, let's listen. Let's see what happened.
This is where his career began spiraling down. Michael had called for a career suicide.
I mean, have you noticed? It happened in 1992. In 1992, they were at a pool party. Mr. G, as I call him, tried to kiss MJ, and since then, everything spiraled, and just, all the troubles have started.
In turning Geffen down on a love endeavor. And that's when the first allegations against Jackson had surfaced. It is said that if you're a friend of Geffen, he would probably even die for you. But if you're his enemy, then you better kill yourself. Jackson was even betrayed and robbed by his own friends, Steven Spielberg, David Geffen, and Jeffrey Katzenberg, who stole his Neverland Ranch Boy in the Moon logo and used it for their own production, DreamWorks. Janet Jackson's Super Bowl halftime show malfunction, where Janet was the victim, was barred from the Super Bowl and was blacklisted from MTV. Meanwhile, Justin Timberlake was given a free pass.
You see, this is pretty much since then I'm not a fan of Timberlake. I really, really don't like him. But yeah, I do remember that story where, there were two people on stage. They were both, I guess, made a mistake, an innocent mistake, but for some reason, no one talked about Timberlake. Like, there were no headlines about him. But there was a woman on stage, and her last name is Jackson. So, why not make noise from that, Jackson makes headlines. Timberlake do not. And, it's always the woman's fault in every story. So, yeah. She's a female and she's a Jackson, so they made a lot of noise out of that story, and they blamed it all on Janet. And then again, let me remind you, there were two people on stage, and he got away with it. I don't like him. I also don't like him because of that song, Cry Me a River. I believe he cursed Britney with that song. And as you know, that song is about Britney cheating on him, even though Britney said he cheated first, but whatever. But anyway, she cheated with Wade Robson. Is that familiar? And Wade Robson was cheating on his girlfriend at the time, Brandy Jackson, that they failed to mention in Living Neverland 1, that they were even a couple for 10 years. How convenient. So you see how everything connects? It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
Without any apologies. This was the same year when Eminem flashed his private parts to the audience at the MTV Awards. Yet there was no outrage against him. Former
See what they're basically saying? Timberlake, white man, nothing happened. Eminem, white man, nothing happened. So yeah, apparently, if you're white, you can get away with, I'm not gonna say the word.
CEO of CBS, Les Moonves, who is now being accused of sexual assault by at least 12 women, was busy blacklisting Janet and ruining her career by ordering VH1, MTV, and all Viacom-owned radio stations to stop playing her songs and music videos.
See, like, the worst people in the world are the ones that are going to criticize you and cancel you and give you trouble. They can do whatever they want. They're being, soldiers of the devil. They can do whatever they want, ruin lives, when they feel like they're in power. They're horrible, but, they're also using their power to ruin other people.
America and Hollywood have never been fair to black artists, especially the Jacksons.
Mm-hmm.
Before Michael Jackson raised the racial barriers, black artists were banned from MTV and weren't considered suitable for the covers of magazines. Jackson once said, "I've been told over and over again that black people on the covers of magazines don't sell copies. Just wait. Someday those magazines will come begging for an interview."
See? Michael knew. He always predicted the future. He knew. He said, you just wait. One day they're gonna beg me for an interview. Not just him. A lot of black artists and models and whatever, But, I guess at some point they thought, okay, we can put them in TV and magazines and whatever, but let's make sure we're going to make a lot of money on them and steal from them. See? It never ends well. Like, never.
And Michael Jackson, of course, was right.
The minute I started breaking the all-time record in record sales, I broke Elvis's records. I broke Beatles' records. The minute it became the all-time best-selling albums in history on the Guinness Book of World Records, overnight, they called me a freak. They called me a homosexual. They called me a child molester. They said I tried to bleach my skin. They made everything to turn the public against me.
They did everything to turn the public against him and also steal what he owns. Because in their twisted mind, he's not supposed to own all those things. He's not supposed to have that status. He's not supposed to have that kind of money. He's not supposed to have that kind of power. No. They feel like they deserve everything. He should do the work. He should, risk his health. Do whatever it takes to be the greatest. And they will just take the money. Awesome people, right? Okay, let's move on.
This is all complete conspiracy. You have to know that. I know my race. I just look in the mirror. I know I'm black.
Going to Universal to buy. We would own Jaws, E.T., Close Encounters.
Oh, now they're talking about owning Marvel. So, let me remind you people, there is an interview that I did with Dieter Wisner 5 years ago or 4 years ago. I don't even remember. But yeah, in 2020. So that was 5 years ago. Where he talks about that deal and how smart Michael was and how he understood business. So he wanted to take Marvel. So that would make him also a powerful man in the movie industry. And they couldn't let that happen, They were already mad that he had a lot of power in the music industry. He cannot be powerful also in the music industry. He cannot conquer everything in their twisted mind. He cannot control everything because that will just drive them crazy. So, they had to get rid of him. So I believe that as soon as he started the process of buying Marvel, they came up with, how they're going to take him down again and put him behind bars or kill him. you know, because he was trying to buy the Marvel comic book in the late 90s. And then what do you know? He meets the Arvizos a year or two later. And then, you know, in 2003, he got arrested. I think there's a connection. There must be a connection. So, let's see.
You know, all the classics from Universal, on all that stuff that will allow us to do a Universal, a channel, part of the Marvel channel can be not only the Marvel characters, but Marvel films, like the catalog. We could do.
Look, what a visionary he is. You know, he knows exactly what he can do, what he wants to do. Like, he is such, you see, this is someone who thinks and plans, and he knows exactly what his next step should be. And you think he just sat there and allowed people to kill him, to get rid of him? He made a plan. He is out of there. He pissed everyone off, you know, all those evil people, and he left. So, yeah, he is amazing. Just the way he thinks, it's just amazing.
Anything we want, from restaurants to retail, theme parks.
He then wanted to buy Marvel. He said, well, then I'll buy Marvel. I don't know what happened. I mean, obviously he didn't buy Marvel, but he wanted to.
It's the fact that Michael had power. Michael owned Sony. He owned a lot of shit. And they wanted to get rid of his ass. And they wanted to ruin his fucking reputation. I mean, Michael was dope. Well, he influenced everybody. Every continent knew who Michael was. And if Michael gave a message, you know, people be like, I want to listen to that. Too much.
Exactly. Isn't that what I've been saying in this entire series? People listened to MJ. He was not just a performer. He was a world leader, and they were afraid of him. And when you're afraid of something, you have to make him look smaller and smaller and unimportant and crazy and whatever, and get rid of him. And obviously all those lies they told about him, it didn't really affect the public. I don't believe it did, because again, people still went to his concerts. As far as I know, Thriller is still #1 till today. I mean, most fans believe he's gone, but look what they're doing. They're defending him. They're, you know, people are still very much connected to him, still very much care about him and his story. So, you know, do you understand how powerful this man is? Like, it is crazy. But that's because he is the truth, and people are thirsty for the truth, and we are so tired of everyone lying to us and playing with us. Like, we're tired of the mind games, you know? So, yeah, people are definitely waking up. Not woke. I'm sorry, I really don't like that group that is called woke, because to me they're dead asleep, because they really don't understand what's going on. They're just making up shit. But, you know, yeah, people are just thirsty for the truth, and they're starting to understand what's going on. Some people take it too far. But yeah, people understand who's the dark side, who's the light, who's telling the truth, who's just playing mind games. And thank God we're in those days where people starting to see the truth.
Power, man.
Nobody had issues with Jackson until the success of Thriller and Bad, which overnight made him the biggest black celebrity in the world. He was influential and loved by millions. That's when the false allegation...
Billions, okay? We need to correct that. He was loved by billions around the world, okay?
...started to gain momentum. It's all about greed, hate, entitlement, and racism. They couldn't stand to witness a black artist with so much power, influence, and opulence. This would never have happened if Jackson had been white or corrupt, because the elites would have protected him. At a time when celebrities played it safe by not...
You see, that's exactly what I was talking about a few episodes ago. If Michael was corrupted or white, the elites would have protected him. That's what they said now in the documentary. What some Israeli fan commented is, If Michael was truly a child molester, the media would have left him alone. Just let him be. So they don't really fight evil because we know who are the true evil. They don't say anything about them, not even after they're getting caught. They're only fighting truly innocent people who fight back. They don't want people to fight back. So that's something to think about. Also think about why after all these years, 16 years after he's supposed to be dead, why are they still talking about him, try to bring him down, to trash his name and still make up stories about him. Maybe that's because he is still a threat. Let's continue. We are about to end part 2. So let's see what else do they have to say, and we're going to end the episode here.
Being too vocal about issues, but had to come across as woke, it was Michael Jackson who put his career and his life at stake to fight against the injustices without worrying about the dreadful consequences that he might have to face. But much worse was yet to come.
Okay, wow, much more, something worse was about to come. Jesus. Okay, so I mean, we know most of the stories, but to see it like that at once, it makes things even harder. But anyway, we finished part 2. We talked about MJ's songs. Every song is basically a protest. We talked about the Sony conflict. We've learned everything, that everything was basically because of greed, because they wanted the catalog. So yeah, we've learned a lot from this part. So I guess we will continue maybe tomorrow, I'm not sure. But anyway, next time we're going to start part 3 out of 4. And it's definitely gonna get very, very interesting. And yeah, I don't know what else to say. I think yeah, this wasn't easy. It's not gonna get easier, as we go along with this series. But as I keep saying, it's very important to learn the truth. And we're going to repeat the truth over and over again until people will get it. Okay, so thank you guys for being here. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you next time. Keep Michaeling, and please use the comment section to let me know what did you think of this episode, this series. If you have questions, comments, whatever, it's very helpful. It's very motivating. I could use some motivation. Lately I've been a little insecure about this podcast. The numbers are not helpful. No comments are not helpful. So start being more supportive. Okay, I need to know what do you guys think, if you like what I do, etc. Okay, so thank you for being here, and I will talk to you next time.